Welcome into the Gridiron Grind College Football Pod, episode 16 of the season. Bowl-A-Rama, bowl season's here. What a great time. College football fan, a lot of bowl games. I don't even know how many bowl games there are now. What, like 35, 36, 37, 38, somewhere at 40? I don't know.
Yeah.
Ton of bowl games.
You guys keep going.
Ton of bowl games. They start Saturday, the 16th. Be sure, and it'll be uploaded on the link of our show description here on YouTube. You want to check out our Gridiron Grind Capital One Bowl Mania. It's open, one entry per person. Join it. We had a good number of people last year, and I was checking. I'd forgot this. Yours truly won the Gridiron Grind Capital One Bowl Mania last year, so I'm going to try to defend my crown. But it'll be on ESPN.com. You click it. It's a confidence poll. So you'll join the Gridiron Grind group, and you'll have one entry per contestant. And it's all for fun. We just play for fun, confidence. So you pick the winners, and then you rank them by confidence points. So if you think you have somebody that you think 100% they're going to win, you'd give them the most points. And one you're picking and you're not sure about, you give them the least amount of points. And then that's how you win. Whoever scores the most points. So
yeah, I'm sure Florida A&M is going to beat Howard.
There you
Florida
go.
A&M gets my maximum points.
Alabama,
points. Michigan, it's a coin toss. They get the least number of points.
There you go. Absolutely. And a lot of times when I'm like, I take a chance on one, they're the big underdog, and I'm like, I still think they might win. That one's probably going to be, low 1, 2, 3 points. So check this out, ESPN.com. It'll be in the description of this link. Join the group. It's free to join. You just have to have an ESPN account, and we'll have some fun, great time. Something to follow throughout the bowl season, which gets started this Saturday, the 16th, and then all the way through the national championship game on January 8th. A little bit happened in college football this past weekend. Two big things happened. Number one, Jayden Daniels won the Heisman Trophy, quarterback from LSU. I think it's like, I read stats, like 20-something years in a row, the closing favorite has won the Heisman. You don't get a lot of upsets in the Heisman. Basically, whoever Vegas has is the favorite before the show starts on Saturday. That's usually who wins. I figured he was going to win. He had like 40 touchdowns. He had 10 rushing touchdowns, so he probably should have been the winner. Myself, I would have voted for Michael Penix, but you can't disagree with Jayden Daniels in the season he had in the stats. Just put it this way. I mean, where would they be? You could say this about a lot of quarterbacks. Where would LSU be with that terrible defense without the season Jayden Daniels has this year?
Brian Kelly might be looking for a job. Brian Kelly might be in College Station right now. He has a bad first year, and then what's he do? Boom. Or no, first year they were in the SEC championship.
First year they went to the SEC championship.
They were
Alabama.
terrible the year before. His first year they go to the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
I tell you what, LSU is one of those fan bases, man. They're in one of those states. That's like recruiting hotbed.
They don't like the season they just had with winning a Heisman.
So they're going, that's great and all, but what did we do?
Apparently they got a great backup, Garrett Neuheisel, I believe is his name. I've read
Neuheisel. It's
people are super high on that guy, and
it's his dad. Or Nussmeier.
Nussmeier, and his dad was Doug Nussmeier.
Yeah.
So he's got the pedigree. People in LSU seem to really like him.
Max Johnson had pedigree too, and he was at LSU.
Also true.
We'll see.
Then the big one we got to talk about. We were just kind of talking about it off air. Army, Navy. First of all, we were undefeated in our bets. We both had Army -2. Check. And then Jimmy also had the over of 27.5. And if you have not seen how that hit over, first of all, it was like 15 years in a row, the Army-Navy under hit. And then last year went into overtime and the over hit on the last play of the game. This year, the over hits on the last play of the game. And I'll let Jimmy just break it down how Jimmy wins the over Army-Navy game at 27.5 with a final of 28 total points.
So 2 years in a row, Army has stopped Navy on the goal line. Last year was a fumble. And golly, if you watch that video, you feel bad for that kid.
Yeah.
Great game, great season. And he fumbles at the goal line. Army recovers. Army goes on, right? This year, Navy, same thing, going at the goal line. And I mean, they weren't close. They were, I
No.
think they got stopped on like the 1 on 4th and goal, and Army gets it back. Well, so what do? Well, watching it with my wife's family down in Dripping Springs, and they looked at me and said, "What do you do?" I go, "Smart play with 3 seconds left is drop back pass, run around, and go out of the back of the end zone." One, because selfishly I needed 2 points, but two, you can't just throw it up because the game can't end on an offensive penalty. Grounding in the end zone would have been a safety. You'd have got the ball back anyway. Navy would have got the ball back with a chance. By running out, the game's over. 2 points and the game's over. And so that's exactly what happened. Army snapped the ball, quarterback's back, just kind of looking around, counting to 3, looking at the clock. As soon as it was done, he went back out of the end zone, and my hands went up in the air like
That's
this.
winner,
Couldn't believe
winner,
it.
chicken dinner.
Nailed it.
What a
Love
win.
football.
Hey, but
Well, I love sports.
every Oklahoma State fan knows exactly what you're talking about. On the last play of the game, offense, you just chunk it. It's intentional grounding that happened to Oklahoma State. Cooper Rush was the quarterback for Central Michigan, and they called, who was it? The quarterback for Oklahoma State, Mason Rudolph.
Rudolph, yeah.
Mason
Like
Rudolph. It was like 4th and 10, but with a few seconds left. He takes the snap. They're about at the 50. He drops back and he just chunks it. Well, he didn't throw it to anybody. Referee throws a flag or whatever, and intentional grounding. So the game can't end, but Central Michigan gets the ball with no time left, and Cooper Rush hits a Hail Mary, and Central Michigan beats Oklahoma State in Stillwater. So the rule you're talking about with Army, you can't just throw it up. Every Oklahoma State fan remembers that one. And so great bet by you, great play by Army, and that's how 26 becomes 28 and a double winner for Jimmy G on the Gridiron Grind.
Love it.
Undefeated weekend,
Love it.
3-0 for us last
Love
weekend. Bowl matchup we talk about. Bowl-A-Rama is here. Jimmy, we got a lot of good bowl matchups. What are some of your favorite bowl games we're looking at this year? Bowl, it's so tricky, and especially the last couple of years because you add in transfer portal and opt-outs. It is difficult to figure out who's actually going to play, who's actually going to care, what coaches are even coaching in it. It can be a challenge. We caution anybody who bets on bowl games. You got to make sure you have all the information. You cannot take what happened in the regular season and transfer to bowl games unless it's the playoffs. You can definitely do that with playoffs. But, you look at, Troy and Duke, by the way. If they were playing the regular season, there's no way Troy is a 7.5-point favorite over Duke. Well, in the bowl game, they are. Because why? Duke lost their head coach. Now that Mike Elko, now the head coach at Texas A&M. They lost their quarterback who just transferred to Michigan. So Troy is a 7.5-point favorite, a Group of 5 school over a Power 5 ACC competitor, Duke. So that's the kind of stuff you have to really pay attention to when it comes to bowl games.
And that is one of my favorite games right there is Troy versus Duke.
Me too.
The one, like you said, when I saw that number, I went, well, that's what in the, well, wait a minute. Mike Elko's gone. Riley Leonard's gone. I go, Troy, most of their team's there. And Troy's a good football team. They're going to come to play. So that was one of mine. I'm also going to watch the A&M Oklahoma State game pretty closely because I want to see, obviously Mike Elko leaves Duke. We just talked about, goes to A&M. A&M loses their offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino. They lose some people in the portal, some big names, former #1 overall recruit there on their D line. He's gone. So, and like we talked about, what team wants to be there more?
Yep.
Does A&M really want to be there? Is Oklahoma State, they got thumped by Texas. Pray for the Pokes. That was the hashtag going into it. So what are they going to do? How are they going to come out? And so that one, and then Arizona, Oklahoma.
That was one of mine.
Arizona, Arizona's been the upset kings all year, and Oklahoma trying to ride some kind of, but build on next season and leaving the Big 12, being the SEC, and this is going to be a big victory for either school,
Yep.
especially with Arizona jumping conferences as well.
And one of
So
those,
that's another one that I'm going to watch.
couple things of that game. One, the Alamo Bowl is the most underrated bowl every year. It produces the best game almost every bowl season. I mean, just look at the
Well,
history of the Alamo Bowl and some of those matchups in those games. Phenomenal games. Last year was a great game. Washington, Texas. I mean, you had that TCU Oregon game that year when TCU was down big and came back and won. The Minnesota Texas Tech game, I believe. I mean, it's just Alamo Bowl produces some of the best bowl games every year. So just the fact it's an Alamo Bowl and it's a top 14 matchup, Arizona 14, Oklahoma 12. But I'm also interested to see Oklahoma quarterback Dylan Gabriel has entered the transfer portal again. It seems like all signs pointing that he's going to go to Oregon. So you're going to get your first start from highly touted quarterback from Denton Guyer, Jackson Arnold, make his first start. And it's going to be a tough game because I think this game will mean a lot to Arizona because Arizona's been kind of bad, and then they've been very good this year. So Arizona 9-3, Oklahoma 10-2. I think this game means a lot to Arizona, and I think it means a lot to Oklahoma too. But Oklahoma's had some transfers, and Arizona has not had many transfers out so far. So very interested to see that one. Another one I'm interested to see is the Cotton Bowl. Number 9, Missouri. Number 7, Ohio State. Missouri, I believe, is all in on this one. This is their first New Year's Six Bowl. And Ohio State just lost their quarterback. They're going to start a highly touted freshman quarterback, Devin Brown, and we'll get our first glimpse of him. We'll see how much Ohio State wants to be there. They've had some opt-outs and new guys. Missouri's actually favored by 3. I think Missouri's all in on this one, so I'm interested to see that one as well.
Yeah, a lot of good games, and that's not even the playoffs.
No,
that's just getting close to the playoffs. I mean, Ole Miss, Penn State's another one. Georgia, Florida State. I love the rumor.
Yes.
I love chaos, but I don't see it happening. But I love the rumor that this game may not take place, that neither team will take the field.
And I hate that.
The Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
They're not at the, Trey and Jimmy gridiron.grind.com bowl.
Yeah.
These guys are in the Orange Bowl.
Which we're working on a sponsorship. Maybe someday we get our own bowl game.
We're next year. We'll play right here in Bearcat Stadium.
Yeah,
but
sure.
What a statement that would be to, of course, it's, I think it'd be dumb, but, I would just laugh. What a statement it would be to have neither of those teams take the field and they just boycott the game. And you're going, wait, what? Like, it's the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
The history of the Orange Bowl itself, and then to have them drop that on them. I mean, man, just complete chaos.
Georgia favored by 14, by the way.
Yeah, that one's pretty crazy.
Oregon Liberty playing the Fiesta Bowl. Oregon favored by 17.5. Liberty undefeated. Now, here's the deal. Liberty, this means everything to Liberty. I mean, you're Liberty University. I think they were independent. I don't know if they still are.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, how excited are you to have the season you had? Your 2 losses, both 2 losses to Washington. Are you excited to play Liberty? I don't know. I mean, Vegas has you a 17.5 favorite. I do know this. Liberty is super pumped to play Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl, and that is a big number. Big number for an undefeated team. I understand the talent disparity, but and then of course, Tennessee, Iowa. USA. Does Iowa not score again? I mean, Tennessee's got a good defense. Iowa didn't score in the Big Ten championship game against Michigan. Can Iowa actually score against Tennessee with a month to prepare? I mean, their offense is bad.
Yeah.
Might be another case. First half over under again is 0.5.
Yeah, they really bummed me out that they couldn't get some kind of field goal to really just run that. But I don't know, man. I think Tennessee's not Michigan, so I think their chances are a lot better. But
they still got a good defense. I don't know how many of those guys are playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we got the playoffs Monday, January 1st, 4 o'clock is the Rose Bowl. Number 1 Michigan, number 4 Alabama. Opened up as a 2.5-point favorite of Michigan. It's now down to 1.5. And Texas, Washington will follow 7:45 Central. Texas has stayed consistent at a 4-point favorite. For what it's worth, I was in the Northeast, visited 3 different cities: Philadelphia, Atlantic City, and New York City. And I spent some time at a sports book in Atlantic City Saturday night. And I ran into like a legit handicapper. Like he's a casino gambler and a sports bettor. That's what he does for a living. He graduated from MIT. He is a legit handicapper. And I have he showed me the pictures and the stacks of cash to prove it. This guy's legit. And I asked him, and I asked him to prove it. I said, give me your best bet for Sunday NFL game. And he said the Bears over the Lions. He said, and like the Lions are favored by 3. He said the Bears are going to win that game and it won't be close. Sure enough, Bears 3-point underdog, won by 15. So I know he's legit. So then I asked, this was Saturday night. So he told me all this before. Then I said, okay, handicap the college football playoff for me. Who's your favorite? Who would you put money down to win? Who's it going to be? And he, without hesitation, he said, Alabama's going to win the national championship. I said, really? I said, what about Michigan? And he said, no, I don't think it'll be much of a game. He said, Alabama's better. They're going to beat Michigan. And I said, Texas, Washington. He said, Texas is probably the better team and would give Alabama probably the better game. But he said, it's a bad matchup for Texas. That one could probably go either way. He would probably take Washington because you're getting 4 points. But he said, it's probably a toss-up. Just depends on the type of game it ends up being. And I said, well, what about if it's Texas, Alabama, Texas beat them? Because he was talking about the line of scrimmage for Alabama. And I said, Texas really dominated that game in September around the line of scrimmage. And he said, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen if they played again. I would think Alabama's going to win that game. And I wouldn't hesitate to take Alabama right now. So take that for what it's worth. That's what he told me. And I just met that guy that night. I don't know him from Adam. So
might have been his name. Who knows?
Well, his name was Sammy. Anyway.
Sports bet Sammy, huh?
Sports bet Sammy. That was what he told me. We had a good long conversation. It was great. Dude was smart. Went to MIT. Just, one of those brainiacs. Wasn't an athlete at all, but he knows he's got that's what he does for a living. He gambles for a living. That's how he makes his money.
Yep.
He travels around the country and goes to casinos and goes to sportsbook. So anyway, bowl season is here. Super excited for it. Let's get to our next segment, questions of the week. You can email us, gridirongrindsports@gmail.com, comment on our videos. Always appreciate you like, comment, subscribe on videos. We're also on Twitter, X, and Instagram. We got 2 questions today. The first question for Jimmy, it's Scott from Paris, Texas. Sent us a DM on the Twitter X machine. And kind of what we're talking about, Jimmy, the question is, do non-playoff games even matter anymore?
Yes, but I don't think they, you heard Coach Saban talk about this, about how, the playoffs kind of cheapen the other bowl games and the expansion of the playoffs, especially. I think they do matter. They do. I mean, you go try to tell, like we talked about, go tell Arizona that game doesn't matter. Go tell Liberty that game doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, go tell, if Georgia and Florida State, which, like I said, I don't believe it'll happen. They're not sitting out of this Orange Bowl because it all matters for recruiting.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to end up, NIL and transfer portal. They're going to, not everything's going to be 100%. Right. So these bowl games matter for recruiting for these mid-tier teams and even some of the top tier teams to go out, have a good bowl game, put your product on the field. And then, we missed out on the top tight end in the transfer portal, but we got this other guy and loved what we did in the Alamo Bowl. Okay. Well, and then, that guy turns out to be a stud. It's how teams like Boise State and TCU and Baylor, how they were able to elevate their program up to compete with the big dogs.
Right.
Like I say, it's a little bit tougher with money being a factor, but again, everybody who wants money, that's not always going to work out. So yeah, I think it still matters. Like I said, for recruiting, it's something besides NIL that you can show a
Yeah.
player.
Well, and I also think it really matters because when you get 15 extra practices, that's huge when you're trying to develop a program. And second, I think it matters for your first and second year guys, and even maybe some seniors that aren't going to play in the NFL. It matters to those guys because it's their last chance and it's a
Yep.
bowl game and it's a big deal. But your first and second year guys, if you're a big program like Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and you got guys because you're not in the playoff opting out, or guys that are transferring because they didn't get to play or going to go play somewhere else because they're getting more NIL money, or guys that are opting out going to the NFL. Your first, second year guys, this is their time where they probably get to start. Like Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold. This is huge. He gets a start this year, and he's expected to be the starter for Oklahoma next year. Well, he gets a start this year, and that's big. That'll be huge for him going into the offseason. It'll give him a whole game's worth of tape to see what he's like with bullets flying at him. Same thing for Ohio State. Ohio State, their starting quarterback hit the transfer portal. Well, now they will get to decide. They'll have a full game of Devin Brown, and they can decide, hey, is this our guy or not? Do we need to go to the portal and get an experienced guy? Or one game, will that be enough to show us that Devin Brown's going to be our guy next year? So I think, and it works for other positions as well, not just quarterback. So I think first, second year guys, it's huge for developing those guys in real game action.
Klubnik. Then they put him in the
Yeah,
ACC championship game,
absolutely.
and then
In the
started
bowl
him in
game
the
last
bowl
year.
game. And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
so there's an example of it working out and seeing they knew what they had in Ukulele, and they put Klubnik in the ACC championship game. Plays great. Start him in the bowl game. Ukulele's transferring, and so yeah, you're exactly right, Trey. I bring that up to reiterate your point. You're
Yep.
right. So it's important. It's important for all these programs. And like I said, you got some teams, Liberty, Arizona, who's been just terrible.
Yeah.
Northwestern's in a bowl game.
Absolutely.
So
With the season, don't forget the turmoil they had in like
yeah,
August. They had to fire their coach for hazing culture. And this new
yeah,
guy comes in, wins the job, gets named head coach, leads them to a bowl.
yeah.
It's
So
huge
it
for
matters.
Northwestern.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Now,
that. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say now, you'll have people that now just winning the championship matters and stuff like that. And like, yeah, that's your goal. But again, we talk about it every year. There's only a handful of teams that have legitimate shots at winning the national championship each year.
That's
So,
true. And it matters
yeah,
to fans. Like
sure.
that bowl game last year, Arkansas fan, that was a huge game.
Hmm.
Arkansas, Kansas last year in the bowl game. It was in overtime. It was a great win by
Yeah.
Arkansas. I mean, it matters to the fan. The fans of those teams are going to watch those bowl games.
Hmm.
I mean, it
100%.
matters. So, all right, Scott from Paris, Texas. Thanks for that question.
Yes, Scott, excellent question. Creta, this one's from you. This comes from woo, this one comes from Baseball Town. Corey from Omaha, Nebraska, via Twitter and X. Hey guys, new listener and stumbled upon your show on YouTube a couple weeks ago. Sorry if you guys have already covered this before, but I'd love to hear what you both think about the transfer portal and NIL. We have talked about it, but
Yeah,
Tori, you're one of our furthest listeners. So yeah, we're putting your question out there again. We'd love to talk about it again,
we talk
Trey.
about it every year because it probably
Thoughts?
changes.
Yeah.
First of all, I love the transfer portal. I'm a big fan of it. Now overall, I'm a big fan. It stinks. I think some kids, but they should have. I'm a big believer. The kids should have the rights to have the opportunity to enter the transfer portal. Now, do
Mhm.
I think it's the right decision for a lot of them? No, I do not. There's several kids that enter the transfer portal from all different levels that never find a place to go, and
Mhm.
that's a decision you have to factor in when you decide to hit the transfer portal. Overall, though, I love the transfer portal because it's like free agency for college football. And I
Yep.
know it makes it tougher on the coaches, but it also allows teams to build their rosters to a point where you can be competitive next year. Like if you're really good in the portal, you can get high school recruits, but then you can fill in, hey, we need some starters with experience at these positions. Let's go grab some guys from the portal. I think it allows a lot of teams to have a chance to compete next year. And I think overall it's leveled out. You're seeing a lot more parity in college football as a result of the transfer portal. I'm a big fan. I think it's a net plus overall for the sport, the transfer portal. Now, some of them, it's ridiculous to some of them, but that's on a case by case basis. You're not all going to be perfect, but overall, big fan of the transfer portal. Overall, I'm a big fan of NIL. I think kids, there's a lot of money that go into college football players, big time college football players. And I think those kids deserve to make money on their own name, image, and likeness. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Deion Sanders, I mean, how much money would he have made prime time when he, everybody was in a Deion Sanders Seminole jersey, even Johnny
Yeah,
Manziel, Texas A&M
yeah.
was
Oh
before
man.
NIL. That guy, Texas A&M built a whole new stadium base. They got like 100% increase in donations, basically,
Yeah.
at A&M when he won the Heisman.
They
And
paid two coaches ridiculous contracts
exactly
solely
because of
based
Johnny
off of
Manziel.
Johnny
And
Manziel.
there's a
Yep.
documentary about how much money he made under the table, but it shouldn't have had to have been under the table. He deserved some of that money.
Yep.
The one thing I do not like about it is combining NIL and transport, and there's no way to keep it out. I don't like the bidding wars that now go on. So I just listened to a podcast before our show. It was an interview that Bruce Feldman, respected writer for Fox and reporter for Fox, and he was on the Rich Eisen show. And Bruce Feldman spoke that he's heard the market. Cam Ward, who was at Incarnate Word, put up great numbers, goes to Washington State, put up great numbers. He's in the portal. He has 1 year of eligibility. Bruce Feldman reported that the market is $1.5 million if you want to sign Cam Ward. I don't like that part of it. I don't. I don't like that that's an NFL, and guys are saying, how much do you want Cam Ward? You're gonna have to pay at least $1.5 million. I don't like that part of it. They are kids, but I don't know how you separate the two. If you're going to have NIL, how are you going to prevent boosters and all these funds from offering kids outrageous amount of money to come play at their school? I think it's probably impossible to separate it. I think on its base level, you need an NIL, and I love the portal. But when you have the bidding wars that go on, I don't love that part of college football. And I don't
Yeah,
like
and
it
you're right.
high school recruits either. I don't like it trying to bid high. I don't like that part of it.
You're right, because how many we can name, I mean, high school recruits all day that were big time and what's the McDuffie kid that went to Michigan and then
Yep.
transferred to Rice?
Yep.
The guy was all world. That guy was the internet sensation because he was the first cat to jump over somebody
Right.
in a game that since the internet. And everybody, oh man, this guy, oh, he's going to Michigan. And then Sam McGuffey or Sam, whatever his name. See, nobody knows his name, right?
Yeah.
Transfers to Rice, goes to Michigan, and Quinn Ewers, thankfully it worked for Quinn, coming back home. He wised up, come back home to Texas. But that would have been another one. He pays all that, Ohio State paid him all that money, never even got on the field. That's like you said, I don't like the high school either. But and also another thing you said I agree with is you can't separate the portal and NIL.
Yeah.
They'll never be able to put the lid back on the jar.
Right.
Now they might can control, at this point they're drinking from a fire hose. Now they might can control that water, maybe slow it down some, but it's off now. It's too late. I think they did a good job of doing hey, you can transfer one time as long as you're the same division.
Yep.
But if you transfer again, you've either got to go down or you've got to waste, a year. And
Right.
I think that will help because like Dylan Gabriel, like you said, Dylan Gabriel's going from UCF to Oklahoma to now Oregon. And it's like, dude, I mean, at some point you got to pick somewhere and stick with it. And
I know. And even because he gets to do that, and so does like Cam Ward, because they graduated. You get one free transfer undergrad, but then once you graduate, you also get another free transfer.
Sure.
And I get that. I mean, if you have a degree, you should be able to transfer. I get that.
Yep.
But yeah, kids playing at 3 different schools in their high school. Also, COVID. We have 1 more year of the COVID extra year. So that's why guys like super seniors. That's why Dylan Gabriel has another year of eligibility. So I am excited to get past the we have one more year of these super seniors, and then we're back to kids being in college no more than 5 years. One red shirt and 4 years playing. So
Well, it really downplays what Case Keenum was able to do at Houston,
yeah,
with all these
yeah,
extra years. He had to do it the old fashioned way. He had to get hurt to
exactly.
do it. Now, you know, whatever. So I'm with you, Case.
All right. Well, great question. New listener. Appreciate you, Tori from Omaha, Nebraska. So love the questions. Get them in. We're only gonna have a couple more shows. We'll take a bit of a break. So we're about to do a final segment here is our best bets. And on this show, we're giving our best bets. So the bowl starts Saturday, December 16th, and we're giving you our best bets through Thursday, December 28th. Our next show will be published on December 28th, and that'll carry through New Year's Day. And then we'll have another show after that to break down the national championship, talk about the results of the playoff that week, and get ready for the national championship game. And then we'll have one final show probably to wrap that up. So after this show, what is that? 3 more shows. So get your questions in. We'll have a lot of questions, I'm sure, coming up. So our best bets is our final segment of this show. And again, it's our best bets through the first part of the bowl games, Saturday, December 16th, through games that are happening on Thursday, December 28th. Again, last week, Jimmy and I were an undefeated 3-0. I was 1-0, Jimmy 2-0. We enter bowl season. I'm at 26-26. Jimmy at 28-34, both looking to have a phenomenal bowl season. And I think we were just talking before the show. We both have 10 best bets for about the next 12 days or starting Saturday. So I got 3 for this Saturday, December 16th.
I got 1 for this Saturday,
Okay.
December 16th.
I'll
I'll get mine out of the way first.
All right, we'll get
I got
yours out of the way.
Cal Tech -3. Give me Tech -3. I think
I
they're
am-
the better team than Cal, and I think they're going to pull that one out.
I agree with you 100%. I think Texas Tech wins that game. I got Texas Tech -3 as well. So we're both on the Red Raiders, and that's Saturday, December 16th. Let me pull up my matchups here. My first one, I just gave my first one. My other 2 for that day is the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. It is
Love it.
Miami of Ohio and Appalachian State. I got Appalachian State -6.5. I think it's a great number. I think they win that game by at least a touchdown, probably double digits. Appalachian State is the better team, and both those teams are going to be ready to play. That's one of those. I love those bowl games, group of 5 schools, because it both matters and they both want to win. It'll be a good competitive game. My next game is the Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. New Mexico State and Fresno State. Fresno State has had a couple people leave. New Mexico State, great year, one of the best teams all year at covering the spread. I'm going to expect them to do it again. I got the New Mexico State Aggies -3.5 over Fresno State.
That's a good one. I like that. My next bets start 12-23, and I've got 4 of them. Troy versus Duke, one we talked about in the show. That's in the Birmingham Bowl. Give me Troy -7.5. I think Troy is the better team now that they've had departures both on the field and off the field for the Blue Devils. So Troy -7.5. Georgia State, Utah State in the Idaho Potato Bowl. Give me Georgia State +1. Georgia State, tough team all year, 6-6, but they excuse me, played some tough teams there in their conference. So ended up 500. Georgia State +1. Utah Northwestern, the Las Vegas Bowl. Give me Utah -7. Northwestern, they're playing hard. They're going to barely get into the bowl game. But I just think Utah's the better team, and they're going to cover that 7. So give me Utah -7. For my last one on 12-23, the Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina, San Jose State. Give me Coastal Carolina +10. Too many points. Too many points.
There's a lot of points. They've had a lot of transfers, though. That's the reason that spread is what it is. But that is a lot of points. Better league too. Sun Belt's way better league than Mountain West. I shouldn't say way better, but it's a better league. Coastal Carolina plus 8. All right. I have 2 on that day, Saturday, December 23rd. One of our games is the same. Utah -7 over Northwestern. Love that one. That's a big one. Utah is everybody's playing in that game for Utah, and they're just better than Northwestern. They're better.
Mhm.
I mean, Northwestern, the fact that they made a bowl is huge, but
It's phenomenal.
Utah's going to win that game. Utah -7. And then I like also on Saturday, December 23rd, James Madison and Air Force. James Madison, what a phenomenal year they've had all season. I love the Dukes in this one. James Madison -2.5
Oh,
over
yeah.
Air Force. Remember, James Madison was undefeated till late in the season. They ended up with just one loss. They had to win against the NCAA even to get to make a bowl. NCAA
Yeah.
did the right thing and are letting them play. Give me James Madison -2.5.
I like it, Trey. I like it. All right. I got one on 12/26, man.
Okay.
And that is the First Responder Bowl, Texas State versus Rice. Give me Texas State -4. I think Texas State's the better team. GJ Kinney, I really thought GJ was going to and people can go, well, what's he done besides beat Baylor? A lot of times in sports, especially big money sports, college football, the NFL, but sometimes one big win is all a coach needs
Yep.
for people to go, crap, he can do it there. Let's see if he can do it here. And they'll take a gamble. And GJ Kinney's still down there in Texas State, down there in San Marcos. And I think they're better than Rice. And I think Texas State -4 hits.
There's a rumor that's going around. First of all, love that bet. I'm also on that bet. Texas State -4 over Rice. The rumor is that GJ Kinney is holding out for the Baylor job, and that's why he has turned down offers at some other programs and is staying at Texas State. Now, that's just a rumor, not confirmed,
Sure.
but he's staying at Texas State because Dave Aranda fired his offensive coordinator. He's going with a new offensive coordinator. And if Baylor doesn't get it turned around after a disappointing season 2 years in a row, they don't get it turned around next year and they make a move on Dave Aranda, the rumor is Kinney is holding out for the Baylor job. So could be a reason why he's staying at Texas State. Also love that bet on Tuesday, December 26th, the day after Christmas. Texas State -4 over Rice. Also have another bet that day. Minnesota hosting Bowling Green. Now, how many times does a 5-7 team they get into a bowl game because there's not enough teams that are qualify, so then they do it by
Right.
graduation rate or your GPA, and Minnesota gets in, and Bowling Green 7-5 as a group of 5 school. Minnesota's a power 5 with a really good defense. Now their offense really struggled this year. And Minnesota's favored by 3. Give me Minnesota. It's happened a lot where 5-win teams get in and win their bowl game. I think Minnesota takes care of business here. Give me Minnesota -3.
I like it. You're right. Like you said, it's like, well, sometimes a 5-win Power 5 school's better than, a
Right.
6, 7, whatever win.
What would Minnesota's record
Offense.
have been if they played Bowling Green's schedule?
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I like it. I got 2 on the 27th. Excuse me. First one, Vautech and Tulane. Give me Tulane +8. Vautech, not very good. Tulane, got people leaving, got coaches leaving. I think the meat of their team is still going to be there. And 8 points is a lot for a Vautech team that just struggled.
Yeah.
And they were just awful this year. They're another one that's like, oh man, they made a bowl, them in Northwestern. So give me Tulane +8.
Virginia Tech was also, that's one of those at home. They were so much better at home. I think all 6 of their wins came at home. Just a way better team at home. I don't have any on the 27th. So what's your next one on the 27th?
Oh, my next one on the 27th, that was the military bowl, Tulane and Vautech. The Texas bowl game you and I have both been to. SEC Big
Yes.
12 bowl. A&M, Oklahoma State. Give me Oklahoma State +3. A&M's got new coordinators, new coach, they fire Jimbo Fisher. They fire Bobby Petrino. They bring in Mike Elko. They bring in Colin Klein from Kansas State. Transfer portals hitting them up. I think Oklahoma State is going to want to be there more.
Yep.
Way less distractions. This isn't the Gundy wore the wrong t-shirt year. Give me Oklahoma State +3.
Also, Oklahoma State, they're going to be out to prove something. They just got beat pretty handily by Texas in the Big 12 championship. I think it's going to matter to them. Alan Bowman, this was an example of senior quarterback out of eligibility, not an NFL prospect. He's going to play. He's been a starting quarterback all year. This matters to him. His last collegiate game, last time playing football. He's going to be there. Oklahoma State, I don't know if they've had any portals yet, so they're going to be there. A&M, like you said, coaches changes, portals. And how much is A&M going to want to be there? They haven't played in a bowl game in like 3 years. They either haven't qualified for one, or COVID season got canceled, and then they canceled one in 21 after the COVID year because they said they didn't have the depth to play in a bowl game. They were supposed to play Wake Forest and canceled. And then last year, they didn't qualify. So this will be their first bowl game. It would mean something to the fans, but I don't know about the players, how much they're going to be motivated to play Oklahoma State in the Texas Bowl down in Houston.
Well, and then even you go back to the fans and the players, they have bigger aspirations down there in College Station because they're finally throwing, since Manziel, they've been throwing millions and millions of dollars to their programs. So they're going, guys, we didn't donate all this money to go play in the Texas Bowl.
Right.
We spent all this money. So you've got the attitude of, guys, we're bigger than this. And I tell you, on paper, and you talk about money given, they are bigger than this, but they just can't put all the pieces together. So yeah, I that's another reason I think Oklahoma State wins, because I don't think A&M wants to be there.
Yep. I mean, on paper, talent-wise, A&M's got the better roster, better talent.
Yeah.
But it's these bowl games, it's a lot of other factors come into play.
Right.
I have 3 games on Thursday the 28th. This is our last day. And then our next show will actually come out on the 28th. And we will break down the games on Friday the 29th, Saturday the 30th, and then all the games in the playoff games for Monday, January 1st. So for this show, the last day, Thursday, December 28th, I have 3. The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl played at Yankee Stadium here in the Bronx. Rutgers, Miami. I love Rutgers right here. Rutgers is +1.5. First of all, Rutgers play hard. They're one of the hardest playing teams. Coach Greg Schiano, those guys play hard. They're physical. It's just a dirty, muggy game. The type of game Miami does not want to play. Rutgers up there, New Jersey and the Bronx. I mean, real close. Going to have a lot of fans there from Rutgers. Miami travels pretty well, but Rutgers will have the crowd. Miami, their quarterback entered the transfer portal. They've had several other players enter the transfer portal. On paper, yeah, the Miami roster's better. But Rutgers is going to want to be there more, and I think Rutgers wins this game. Give me Rutgers +1.5. Then the Pop-Tarts Bowl, Kansas State -3 over NC State. Kansas State, again, not having a lot of transfers, but they've had 3 transfers, all 3 starters. Their quarterback, he's out, but they're starting the freshman who played a lot of time in Avery Johnson. They're going a new direction. They lost their OC. They're bringing in a new guy from staff, Avery Johnson. They're going to let him shine. They lost 2 corners. I don't think that's going to affect them as much as people think. NC State's a good quality team. I think it's going to be a great game, but just the culture of Kansas State, I think, wins out here. Kansas State's a better team. I like Kansas State -3. And then the Alamo Bowl, one of my favorite bowls, one of my favorite non-power group of 6 bowls is the Alamo Bowl. Arizona, Oklahoma. I think Arizona, we talked about this at length earlier in the show. This is a big Arizona game for Arizona. They've been terrible in years past. They really put it together this year. 9-3 season in a loaded Pac-12. This game means a lot to Arizona. Jeff Fish is one of the best coaches, underrated coaches in the country. Oklahoma's had some transfer portals. They're also starting a young quarterback going against a very good defense and a good team. And we'll see what he's about. But right now, you got to take Arizona -3 against Oklahoma.
I agree with that. And you go, okay, it's a bowl game, right? And so how much of that offense are you going to turn loose on this on Jackson Arnold. How much of the playbook are they going to really open up? And so I agree. I had that one as well. I got Arizona -3. And then I've only got one more to round out. We both had 10. Speaking of 10, this is pretty appropriate. I've got in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, SMU Boston College. SMU Boston College, another one. Oh man, they made a bowl. Yeah, they did. SMU favored by 10. Give me SMU -10. 10th bet -10. SMU over Boston College. I just think SMU is just double digits better than Boston College. It is, of course, it's Fenway, so it's going to be in Boston. Potential big Boston, big BC presence. I don't think it's going to matter. They're going to be rowdy. SMU is going to go up there, going to stampede. They're going to throw it all over the place, and SMU is going to come out of there 31-3, something like that. It's not going to be close. SMU -10.
Now, let's not forget this. First of all, SMU won their conference, the American Athletic Conference, where they beat Memphis or the Tulane. They beat Tulane. Beat Tulane.
Tulane.
So SMU won their conference. They're ranked number 24 in the country. Okay. Boston College, like you said, 6-6 barely made a bowl. But don't forget, this will be a conference game next year. SMU is joining the ACC next year. So it's not like, SMU group of 5. No, they're a really good group of 5 that's going to be in a Power 5 next year as SMU joins ACC. And so you look at it like that, you're like, okay, SMU conference, SMU's the better team. There's a reason they're favored by 10, but I kind of agree with you. I don't know if 10's enough. SMU is explosive. Remember, second game of the season, they took OU to the wire. It was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter, and Oklahoma scored a touchdown about halfway through the fourth. I think they ended up winning that game by 11. SMU is good.
Yep.
So I love that bet.
And they can then like you said, they beat a really good Tulane team, another team that's 11-2.
Yes.
Tulane put up points, and SMU held them down. Like you said, OU's offense wasn't clicking. I remember that game because I took the over because I said, both these offenses, we got this, and then nothing.
Yep.
And
Jimmy
so,
G's big 3.
Yep. But that's
the only thing
SMU.
that keeps Boston College is that it's at Fenway Park in Boston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that gives them hope. SMU is going to be motivated. They're going to want to be there. It's a big deal for them, especially going into the ACC. So SMU's got the better team, and it's going to be a big deal. I agree with you. Love SMU. All right, we'll do the Gridiron Grind recap. Both have 10 bets apiece. Only overlap a couple. We didn't go over these before the show, so it's kind of cool that we don't have any conflicts. We're all we have a couple of the same bets, no conflicts. So here's Jimmy's 10. He's got Texas Tech -3, Troy -7.5, Georgia State +1, Utah -7, Coastal Carolina +10, Texas State -4, Tulane +8, Oklahoma State +3, Arizona -3, SMU -1. Myself, -10. I wrote down -10. I don't know why I said -1. SMU -10. My 3. Appalachian State -6.5, New Mexico State -3, Texas Tech -3, James Madison -2.5, Utah -7, Minnesota -3, Texas State -4, Rutgers +1.5, Kansas State -3, Arizona -3. 20 winners.
Love it.
Finishing strong. It's been an up and down season on the grind on the college bets. NFL, we're kicking butts, taking names. College, we're trying to finish with a winning record, both of us.
Yep.
Got a little bit to go. Again, we'll be back. We're going to record on the 27th. Show will be published on the 28th, the new show. And we'll break down the final weekend of the bowls and get you ready for the college football playoff. And then we'll have a show after the playoff to get ready for the national championship. And then we'll have another show to wrap it up. So coming to an end on the Gridiron Grind this season. What a year it's been. Excited for the playoffs, excited for the bowl games. It's going to be a great finish to the year. And also don't forget our NFL show, Cowboys. We had a huge live show. Cowboys beat the Eagles So check that out. Check out our live shows. Our NFL show will be out the next day, tomorrow. We'll talk about the Cowboys and Bills. Bills favored in that one. So we'll break that down, break up playoff scenarios, and see where we're at with Cowboys. Got like 4 games left. And so we'll see about that. So check us all out. And then, of course, we'll have the live show this week after the Bills game. Let's get to. And also, don't forget, it's the Capital One Bowl Mania, ESPN.com. Join our league, the Gridiron Grind League. It's a confidence league. So when you go to ESPN, you click on the link I'm going to put in the description. It'll be both on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. You click the link in the description. It'll ask you what type of game you want to play, like a straight up one, a spread, or a confidence. Our league's always been confidence. I kind of like it just because it's a little strategy goes into it. Not only got to pick the winner, but you also got to categorize them, allocating enough points to the win. So it gives a good bit of strategy.
Yeah, in some years, that's what it's come down. It's been, excuse me, 1 and 2 points decided that whole league. And it was, well, I had Texas. Yeah, I had Texas too, but you had them at 8 and I had them at 12, or something like that. And
exactly.
Yeah, so you're right. The extra element of strategy kind of makes it pretty fun. So
it does.
Sign up.
Join us. Thanks for joining us on the Gridiron Grind. Jimmy G, I'm Creta 3. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back on the grind. Merry Christmas to all of our loyal fans on the College Football Pod. We will see you in a couple weeks. See ya.
See ya.